Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome to my channel. I am Jamie Beth. Today we're going to talk about haunted Michigan. Yes, we're going to talk more about some of the great haunted places that are here in the state that I live in. And I will say, Michigan has no shortage of haunted stories. We are going to jump right in and start talking about some haunted hotels and inns. The first hotel we're going to talk about is the Doherty Hotel in Clare, Michigan. This historical hotel in Clare was built in 1924 by former Senator Alfred James Doherty, a friend of the automobile magnate Henry Ford. Since that time, almost 100 years, the Doherty family has owned and operated the Mid-Michigan Hotel. During Prohibition, the Doherty Hotel was a speakeasy and a meeting place for the mafia, with plenty of illicit activities. It was also a favorite hangout for Detroit's infamous Purple Gang. The Purple Gang was a notorious organized crime gang dating back to the 1920s and 1930s. And this gang terrorized southeast Michigan and the Detroit area. Their criminal enterprises stretched outside the city limits all the way to a tiny town in mid-Michigan named Clare. One of Michigan's most notorious murders occurred in 1938 when Isaiah Leibov, a former Purple Gang attorney turned Purple Gang businessman, was murdered by his cousin and partner Jack Livingston. Today, numerous accounts of hauntings have been reported. Guests at the hotel have reported hearing unexplained knockings, along with ghostly apparitions that lock and unlock doors. And they do believe that this Leibov gentleman still haunts the Doherty Inn. Moving along to the Henderson Castle in Kalamazoo. This castle now operates as a bed and breakfast and event venue. Since the late 1800s, Henderson Castle has sat perched on West Main Hill overlooking downtown Kalamazoo. Built by successful businessman Frank Henderson and his wife Mary, the castle cost $72,000 in 1895, which is about $2.5 million or so in today's dollars. The 25-room home included a ballroom and an elevator to reach the third floor, which was pretty swanky back in those days. Across the street from the sandstone castle, the final resting place of the original owners, Frank and Mary Henderson, can be found at Mountain Home Cemetery. Frank ended up not living much longer after the castle was completed, but guests have reported seeing and hearing and feeling unexplainable phenomena. It is said the ghosts of Frank Mary, a Spanish-American war veteran who served with the Henderson's son, and a peculiar little girl and dog have all been seen or sensed in the Henderson Castle. Additionally, strange noises and disembodied voices have been allegedly heard throughout the castle. Moving along to the Landmark Inn in Marquette. Marquette is in the Upper Peninsula. So it's not in the Mitten, it's in the part that's above the Mitten. This elegant hotel near Lake Superior is the site of a few bone-chilling stories dating back almost 100 years. Built in part as luxury accommodations for wealthy business owners from Boston to New York who would visit the area to check on their business interests. The stories surrounding the landmark have attracted ghost hunters and paranormal investigators over the years. One such story chronicles the events of a man who killed his girlfriend in a jealous rage when the inn was still under construction. He then took her body to the basement and buried her there. The hotel's 6th floor, the Lilac Room, is the setting of another ghostly tale. This story revolves around a ship worker who fell in love with a local librarian and conducted their love affair in the Lilac Room. The couple was said to have planned a wedding upon his return from his last voyage on the sometimes treacherous Lake Superior. Unfortunately, their affair ended in tragedy when his ship met with a storm and sank to the bottom of the lake. He never returned, and the librarian mourned his death in the lilac room, eventually dying of a broken heart. Visitors report ghostly occurrences that seem to continue the spooky legacy. One workman who came to complete the construction on the hotel in 1930s claimed he heard a weeping and whispering female trying to get them to find her body. Additionally, the librarian from the second story is said to be seen on the 6th floor either pacing or weeping, still mourning her love. Up next is the Terrace Inn. The Terrace Inn was opened in 1911 in Petosky's historical Bayview area, a gorgeous 38-room Victorian resort. Petosky, Michigan is absolutely gorgeous, and my husband and I have been to Petosky quite a few times. It's just, the views are spectacular, and watching the sunset over the bay is just absolutely gorgeous. Anyways, since its opening, it's been the site of 2 deaths. According to a rumor, 2 workers died when a beam fell on them during the construction of the inn. However, another story suggests a pregnant woman called Elizabeth Abby Sweet was staying in room 211 when she fell, miscarried, and died. Her husband is said to have died some years later of a broken heart, still mourning the loss of his wife and the twin she was carrying at the time of her death. Regardless of the story that you believe, the inn is believed to be haunted by at least 3 ghosts. The first is a lady in white who wanders the halls and rooms, because why not have a lady in white in some aspect of any ghost story? The second ghost is a man in a tweed suit who overlooks the balcony at the front of the inn. And the third, a child in the basement. Guests have reported seeing, hearing, and feeling these ghosts while staying in the inn. I do want to add that today I am trying a few more products from the brand One Size. So I have put on the primer, and this is the Secure the Blur primer. And I also have like the little setting powder, and I have the setting spray. So I'm going to be trying out these products today. And I know I've talked about this before. This is the makeup remover by One Size. It's called Go Off. It's the makeup dissolving mist, and this stuff takes off even the most difficult makeup. So if you have like the most waterproof makeup ever in the whole world, this will melt it right away. It is awesome. I love it. So when I was restocking my inventory, I purchased a few more products to try from One Size because I know this is awesome. So I'm really excited to give these things a try, and I will let you guys know how it works out. I do have some hotels and inns honorable mentions. Now I just have quick little blurbs about these. So the first honorable mention I'm going to talk about is the Mission Point Resort in Mackinac Island. And yes, it looks like it should be pronounced Mackinac, and that's how a lot of people who don't live in Michigan pronounce it, but it is pronounced Mackinac. Mackinac Island's Mission Resort is said to be haunted by Harvey, a college student that died there in the 1970s and likes to come back and visit. The whole island is haunted by ghosts. So, I mean, everywhere you go, there's a ghost story on Mackinac Island. It's just a really neat place to visit. The Holly Hotel in Holly, Michigan is also reported to be haunted. This popular hotel in downtown Holly has been the scene of some real strange happenings, attracting the attention of ghost hunters, paranormal investigators all over the country. Considered by some to be one of the most haunted historic buildings in Michigan, the Holly Hotel has been home to numerous otherworldly ghosts. Bowers Harbor Inn is now known as the Mission Table Restaurant, but the 2-story mansion on Traverse City, Old Mission Peninsula, is home to a playful ghost whose hijinks have been pretty well documented. There are a whole bunch of stories that you can read about this particular ghost from people who have visited this inn. Now, Traverse City is also a great area to visit if you are visiting Michigan and want someplace cool to go to. Traverse City just has a lot of everything. So I highly recommend Traverse City if you guys have never been to Michigan and want to visit. Moving along to Fort Shelby Hotel. This is now known as the Doubletree Suites Hotel, and it is located in downtown Detroit. This hotel was built in 1916 and is also said to be the home of a friendly ghost named Al, who can be seen at times walking the halls. Detroit is another very beautiful city. There are beautiful historic buildings, and it's gorgeous. But like any major city, you don't want to be in the neighborhoods that surround this city. It is not the safest places to be. Please, if you do want to visit Detroit, do research and know where you're going, because you can get stuck in neighborhoods that you don't want to be in. Moving along to haunted forts, and we're going to go back to Mackinac Island and talk about Fort Mackinac. Tourists on Mackinac Island will find Fort Mackinac hard to miss. The Revolutionary War era fort housed soldiers and engaged in battles using cannons and rifles. Today, the fort is protected as part of the Mackinac Island State Park and has been restored, but its history of violence leaves it teeming with spiritual energy. In the Post Hospital, now a museum providing a peek into the 19th century medicine, severed limbs appear in photos. In the fort's guardhouse, cold spots, even on the hottest of summer days, are felt in the building. Other ghostly sightings have taken place in other locations in the fort where restless spirits seem to appear. Sometimes visitors will see apparitions with their own two eyes, including a crying woman in the cemetery and a soldier near the Sallyport North entrance. Moving on to Fort Wayne. This fort was named after a general named Mad Anthony Wayne. The historic Fort Wayne was built in Detroit during the 1800s. Today, the fort, now part of the Detroit Recreation Department, is rumored to be haunted. In fact, it's known as one of the most haunted Detroit locations, and for good reason. When it was built, the project required the excavation of an indigenous burial ground, creating a sense of unrest on the property. Visitors note some spooky anomalies while touring the fort, including seeing strange apparitions or being touched by people that are not there. Some believe these ghosts to be deceased soldiers. Others relate this haunting to the disturbance of the burial ground Fort Wayne was built on. Haunted Forts honorable mentions. We have the River Raisin National Battlefield Park in Monroe. It's not technically a fort, but it is the site of the War of 1812, the Battle of French Towns, one of the bloodiest battles in the history of the state. This battle between British and American troops saw over 500 American soldiers killed. It's their restless spirits that are said to walk the grounds day and night. The Monroe historical site has been visited by paranormal activity hunters from around the country who are said to have recorded eerie sights and sounds indicating presence of other people. Moving along to the hospitals and asylums. Now, I believe the majority of asylums have been torn down and replaced by either apartment buildings or shopping centers, or converted into apartment buildings or shopping centers. There really, I don't think, are any asylums still standing. The Traverse City State Hospital. The Traverse City State Hospital was developed as the Northern Michigan Asylum in 1885 and remained in operation for over 100 years. Dr. James Decker Munson ran it on the belief in an outdated medical theory that suggested beauty could be used as therapy, meaning that a beautiful and tranquil environment could cure the mental illnesses that brought patients to the psychiatric hospital. Naturally, the former asylum near Grand Traverse Bay is purported to be now a vastly haunted hospital. Some people have reported seeing lights flicker when the electricity was cut, or hearing disembodied voices or footsteps that couldn't be explained. A few have claimed to see shadowy figures or feel invisible forces. Allegedly, dark spirits drove a priest of the asylum's chapel to hang himself there, causing some to experience strong energy in the chapel as well. In 2002, a company purchased the Traverse City State Hospital for $1, I believe. It was something crazy low like that. The buildings and the grounds have since gone through a $60 million restoration, turning them into what is now known as the Village at Grand Traverse Commons. It is a shopping center with restaurants, cafes, and apartments. Moving along to the Eloise Asylum, and this is probably one of the more famous asylums in Michigan. In the 1920s, the Eloise complex was a small city with a hospital and a mental asylum, housing 10,000 patients and a staff of 2,000. The Eloise began as the Wayne County Poorhouse, which opened in 1839 in the now defunct Nankin Township. Nankin was part of Wayne County, originally named Buckland Township, and it included what are now the cities of Livonia, Inkster, Dearborn, Redford, Wayne, and Westland. The complex had its own police and fire department, bakery, and railroad. Eloise was one of the first hospitals to use x-rays for diagnosis. It was also home to the first kidney dialysis unit in Michigan. The complex eventually expanded to 902 acres with more than 70 buildings. The facility had a radium treatment for cancer patients, and the sanitarium was one of the first to use open-air treatments for tuberculosis patients. Psychiatric patients underwent electroshock and insulin shock therapy. After the Great Depression, the population of the complex started to decrease as reports of violence, questionable conditions, misconduct, and overall neglect surfaced. Like with any mental institution, it always seemed like people just abuse these poor, innocent people. Farm operations ceased in 1958, and the psychiatric division closed in 1984. Today, the hospital is only made up of about 8 buildings, while the vast land around it has been converted to strip malls, golf courses, and condos. Visitors have reported odd occurrences on the hospital grounds for years after it was closed. There have been reports of people finding medical waste and other strange items. Some have reported finding jars containing human body parts, as well as documents outlining strange medical procedures. A group recently claimed to have seen a spirit of a woman wearing white, often seen in the upper floors and roof. Others have claimed to hear moaning, screams, and roars throughout the old grounds. Some believe they are the souls of tormented patients. The old Eloise graveyard is also said to be haunted. One of the buildings I know is like an administration type building, so people actually work there. Very interesting. Moving along to haunted theaters, and we're going to talk about the St. Cecilia Music Center first. Witnesses have reported chairs being moved around inside some of the rooms at this music center. A ghostly female voice has been heard in the ballroom, and a shadowy apparition has been spotted more than once rushing across the stage before disappearing. There has also been reports of the elevator moving on its own, items going missing or being moved, and a janitor's apparition behind the stage. The location has been investigated by ghost hunters, confirming that there were some sort of paranormal activity in the music center, mostly in the auditorium. The group also had recordings of unexplained voices and EVPs. Moving along to the Calumet Theater. This theater dates back to 1900 and has had well-known visitors, including Douglas Fairbanks Sr., Frank Morgan, John Philip Sousa, Lon Chaney Sr., and Sarah Bernhardt. This theater is believed to have a visitor that just kind of lingers around. The ghost of renowned Shakespearean actress, Madame Helena Modjeska. Her ghost was first spotted around 1958 when she helped actress Eloise Lane when she forgot her lines during a performance. Witnesses have reported unexplained cold breezes and heard music that seems to be coming from nowhere. Moving along to the Masonic Temple in Detroit. During the 1920s, Detroit was a bustling city with a booming auto industry and an illicit but profitable liquor trade. During Prohibition, secretive networks like bootleggers and Freemasons thrived. As a result of the growing popularity of Freemasonry in the city, George D. Mason was commissioned to build the Masonic Temple. Tragically, during construction, his wife left him following his bankruptcy, leading him to commit suicide by jumping off the roof of the temple. Security guards working at the Masonic Temple have claimed to see his apparition heading upstairs towards the roof as if stuck in a loop of his darkest moments, making the Masonic Temple one of the most haunted places in Detroit. And to the Kalamazoo Civic Center. Thelma Mertz is a ghost that is said to haunt this theater. A theater youth group reportedly thought up a story to explain her ghostly presence, and they decided she was an actress who was dumped by her lover and committed suicide by jumping off the balcony. The ghost's true identity is unknown, but her spirit enjoys playing the piano, walking across the stage, turning off the lights, closing doors, and occasionally showing up as an apparition. Okay, we're going to now move on to my others category. So this category is about a few things that didn't quite fit in the other categories. We're going to start off with the former Holy Family Orphanage in Marquette, Michigan. The Old City Orphanage, formerly known as Holy Family Orphanage, stands as an iconic Michigan haunt. The first occupants were 60 Native American children and 8 nuns who moved in when it opened in 1915. Former residents claimed as adults that the nuns abused the children mentally and physically, often using cruel and extreme punishment. Rumors suggest that they even went as far as beating the children to death or leaving them outside in the northern Michigan's bitter winters to die. People who have explored the grounds report that on quiet nights, the tortured souls of little girls can be heard moaning and crying. Those brave enough to enter the building say they've seen apparitions of ghosts as well. Moving along to Michigan's first state prison. Michigan's first state prison in Jackson was built in 1838 and was the largest walled prison in the world at the time. Housing thousands of inmates, riots, neglect, escapes, wrongful deaths, torture, cruelty, and sickness litter this prison's history, solidifying its reputation as a place of unrest. These inmates are said to dwell in the halls, rooms, and tunnels underground, lingering in search of redemption, forgiveness, or perhaps a pardon, or just peace. Visitors report seeing apparitions, hearing voices, or being touched by those unseen. Additionally, the prison is known to be quite noisy, with reports of hearing unearthly moans, phantom screams, as well as the sounds of slamming doors and banging on pipes echoing through the halls. Moving along to the Whitney restaurant in Detroit. This is a really nice, expensive restaurant. They do have valet parking, so you don't have to park along the street. It's not in the greatest part of Detroit, but you're not unsafe going there. Right down the road from there, a walking distance really, is the Hopcat bar, which is awesome too. You do have to park along the street to go to that restaurant, but it is a really, really good restaurant as well. Located on Woodward Avenue, this exquisite restaurant was the former mansion home of David Whitney Jr. Mr. Whitney was one of the Midwest's wealthiest lumber baron at the turn of the century, and he built this magnificent 21,000 square foot home in 1894. Since the mansion's restoration in the mid-1980s, reports of unexplained activity have existed. Shadowy apparitions have been seen on the second floor, disembodied voices have been heard, and other strange phenomena has occurred. There have been reports of hearing somebody say, "I'm still here," or just simply say hi, as well as hearing knocks on walls and the sound of a piano playing. in the distance. Mr. Whitney and his wife actually died in the home, so it is said that there is still a really strong bond between him and this home. So that is our video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the more haunted places throughout Michigan. There are far many more haunted places in here, but these are the ones I thought were the coolest. I didn't mention lighthouses, and I know there's a lot of haunted lighthouses within Michigan, and that's only because I'm going to be focusing solely on haunted lighthouses in another video, so that is why I didn't mention any of them. If you guys liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and remember to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, as well as the notification bell next to it to be notified of all of my upcoming videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.